Because when I moved to Dallas, they were still drafting by hand. And I kept asking them, you can do this on the computer,
When was this?
This was in 84.
Oh, my gosh.
And they go, computers are expensive. Bought my own computer, got my own software for it, and started playing with it. Taught myself how to do the AutoCAD, and now we're using Civil 3D with Autodesk. It's amazing. What thing disturbs me, though, is with this new technology, a lot of these younger people will go, well, it says we need this size pipe. And you go, there's no way. You need to have a little experience to know you can't run that much water through a 24-inch pipe. Well, the computer said it was okay.
Today we are with Tom Hoover, and Tom, you've been an engineer for a very long time. You don't have to give out specific numbers, but
I appreciate that.
What kind of engineering have you done in the years?
I'm what we call general civil engineering, everything outside of building. I do water, sewer, grading, storm drain, anything that's, that the people are going to end up either using or riding on, I do. I don't do structural. I took all those courses in college and said, not for me. I was pretty lucky because, my dad was a mechanical engineer when I was a kid, and I was always good at math and science. And I figured, maybe I should be an engineer. But, I knew I didn't want to be electrical because I kind of shocked myself pretty badly when I was a kid. So I said, no, I don't want to do that. And Dad was a mechanical. I didn't want to do what Dad did. And so I was doing a report on engineering types, for a 8th grade class. And I went through the civil engineering. I said, well, that's pretty cool. These guys build parks and roads and, stuff that people use for a long time. And so from the 8th grade on, that's what I wanted to be, was a civil engineer. And so I got my degree from Texas Tech University, Recum Tech. And I'm still doing it because I like it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. So what kind of projects have you done that you're super excited about?
Well, I do
over the years.
Over the years, I've got several clients that have used me multiple times. I do a lot of work for the hotel industry, where I do the site plan and all the engineering plans for the construction of. He happens to use Marriott, but that's always fun. I've done probably 10 or 15 car dealerships in the area.
So specifically, you're dealing with everything outside of the building,
yes,
right? Sir. So parking lots, drainage.
Yep.
Do you even landscape too, or
no? I don't do the landscape.
No, well, not the landscape. The design behind where landscape stuff goes, right?
Well, I follow ordinances. Usually, the city says, like in a parking lot, you got to have a tree island every so many parks.
Gotcha.
So I'll make sure that my tree island is adequately sized per the code, but I'll let the LA guy come in and say, okay, I want a live oak here. Okay. I don't do that.
Funny. So have you run into any cities different than other cities with respect to how well they are in planning and how easy they are to work with?
Yes, but I'm not going to give you any names, but some are terrible. On the northern side of the Metroplex, I usually figure out what my fee should be and double it. Some are really laid back and easy to get along with. I always come in because I was the director of public works for the city of Keller for a while and the city of Bedford for a while. So I can see things from their side. And so I always try to come up with a win-win scenario. I know what your code is. I'm not going to break your code, but I'd like you to consider this. Maybe we can, adjust something. At the end of the day, we're going to do what the city wants. That's
right
how it works.
Right.
And I'm not your hired gun developer. I'm not going to go in there and try to show this guy's underwear at a city council meeting. Not going to do it.
Yeah, it's just going to hurt you down the road.
Exactly. I may have to come back here and get another project. Thanks. So no, I don't do it that way.
Right. So what, with respect to the variances of the projects that you've worked on, how big of a project and how small of a project have you worked on?
Good question. The largest project I did was 1,200 unit military housing project up in Maryland.
Wow.
That was a huge project.
You don't just stay in the DFW Metroplex?
Not really. But I was following a client. He was a big builder, and but that was my biggest project. That before I started my company, the biggest project I've done as Thomas Hoover Engineering LLC is probably about a $5 million project.
Okay.
So
what would entail a $5 million project? Like, are you talking about, like, let's say a church and the surrounding areas behind the church?
No, this would be more like a subdivision, either whether it's a residential subdivision or even a commercial subdivision. There's one under construction right now in Keller that we did the civil engineering for that one.
Wow. So that's really cool. So you have to figure out plots, plot layouts and all that stuff with respect to where the streets go and
yep.
And then of course the drainage on top of all that stuff.
Well, one of the projects that I take a lot of pride in was Roof Snow Road there in Keller. It used to turn there right just south of the creek and turn across at Bear Creek Intermediate School. Well, I designed the roadway that went and carried it all the way up north and across up to 1709.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got to looking at this one spot, and there was this beautiful pecan tree. It's probably a 36-inch pecan tree. Gorgeous. And so we had to put a wiggle in the road anyway because the two roads didn't line up. So I said, let's wiggle it, save that tree.
Huh.
And that tree's still there today. And that was
that's cool.
30 years ago. And it's stuff like that makes it fun.
Huh.
And I'll keep doing it as long as it's fun.
Sure. That's cool. So now if you're dealing with a subdivision, you also have to like plumbing and piping and all that stuff? We
do the water mains out in the street, the sewer lines. Yeah, we bring a water tap up to the lot, and that's where it stops. It depends. Some of the subdivisions, we do pad grading, so it's ready for a house. Sometimes they say, this is a wooded area. We don't want to do anything because it needs to be site specific. So it varies, but and we do a lot of grading plans for some of these custom home builders,
right?
That do the starter castles,
right. Right. No, yeah, I've seen that.
I've got one. It's like a 20,000 square foot house.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
that's so big.
Yeah, it's kind of, what do you do for a living?
Yeah. Well, not only that, but like,
why did I not go into that?
Well, I'm thinking the opposite. I mean, our house is fairly small, and if we had another couple of extra rooms,
yeah, it'd be okay.
That'd be cool. But man, the more stuff you have, the more stuff you have to take care of.
Well, our habits are kind of like a gas. We expand whatever we're in. So if you've got a 3,000 square foot house, you get stuff that fills it. If you have a 1,000 square foot house, you fill it, and then you don't go anymore. We did that when we moved to our house we're in now for over 20 years. We went from 1,800 square foot to a little over 3,000. And we didn't have enough furniture to do the second living area and the library and all that. But now it's full. I can't figure that out.
So custom home builders, they have clients who may have a 5 or 10 acre lot and they want to build one or maybe a mother-in-law home on it also. Yes. That sort of thing. And it starts with zero.
Right. Yeah, we've done that. We've done these, 6,000-7,000 square foot houses on a half acre lot. Those are actually a little more challenging because they're usually really close to the edges. And I tell them that you're putting 5 pounds of beans in a 3-pound bag. We'll do the best we can, but sometimes you have to have walls.
Do you have issues with homeowners associations and deed restrictions and all that kind of stuff?
We try to follow those. Usually that's not a problem when I get involved, if I'm coming in and doing a grading plan. If we're doing the design of the subdivision, well, that's another story. We get HOAs, and we had a project in Arlington that, it was such fun because we had to rezone it. And, there were 3 different HOA groups that were within the, 500 feet or whatever Arlington did for the notifications. And you'd have thought we were putting in a sexually oriented business instead of houses. It was.
Everyone was up in arms.
Oh, yeah. But they approved it, and it's under construction now.
Huh, that's cool. So tell me about the process. Like, let's say somebody comes to you, their client's building a house on a lot. What's the process from a civil engineering standpoint?
Well, I try to get, them to provide me with the design of the house and kind of the initial layout. We want the driveway over here or there. We get the surveyor to give us a topographic survey so we know the lay of the land, where the trees are. Then we just, start at the low end and work your way up. Yeah, I learned that a long time ago. They didn't teach us that in school about grading, but now it's like you start at the low end every time. And
you're talking about elevation.
Elevation, right. Yep.
Interesting. We live on a 5-acre lot, and I guarantee you that's absolutely not what they did. They actually started with not the highest, but it was close to the highest. And they just said, is this where you want your house? And yeah, sure. That sounds great. Okay, cool. We'll level it up. And so they leveled it. And it was the only area in the whole 5 acres that is level. And they started building on it immediately. And, had I known the issues that were going to come up on it.
Should have called me.
Yeah, I might have. There's different things we could have done to, because there's foundation problems and all kinds of stuff.
And a lot of people call with drainage issues, and a lot of times it's, your house is lower than the street. Everything's draining towards your house, and why didn't you raise the house up a little bit or divert the water around sooner and not at your garage door?
Yeah. Things
like that.
Yeah. Huh. So quick follow-up question to the one I asked before about the process. So you've been doing your thing for a very long time. I think you told me maybe over 40 years, right?
Right.
So tell me about the changes in technology and the changes not even in processes over the years.
Good. I was fortunate. When I got out and went to work, I went to work for a fellow out in West Texas that was on the cutting edge. He was running like beta stuff for Hewlett-Packard. He was using distance meters and coordinate geometry before anybody had any of that. Because when I changed jobs from there to Dallas, they were still drafting by hand. The draftsman would work it up, give it to the engineer. The engineer would redline and give it back to them. And it was an iterative process. And I kept asking him, you can do this on the computer, And no.
When was this?
This was in 1984.
Oh my gosh.
And they go, computers are expensive. I said, yeah, but they don't get sick and they don't need vacation, And they just wouldn't do it until we had a big project that we had done, turned into the city. And the city said, we don't allow 30 scale drawings. It has to be 20 or 40, which meant it had to be redone. And so what we ended up doing is sending it to a print shop. They photographed it and then they scaled it whichever way that we wanted them to do. And I remember telling the guy that was the project manager for that, I said, if we'd had this on the computer, that would have been a couple of hours, even back then. And he was like, I think maybe we ought to look into that. And then I went to work for a company where they didn't have the engineers do the AutoCAD or the drafting on the computer. They let their CAD technicians, which used to be drafting guys, do it. And so I bought my own computer, got my own software for it, and started playing with it.
Wow.
Because I had been laying it out, by hand, and taught myself how to do the AutoCAD. And now we're using Civil 3D with Autodesk. It's very current.
Really cool.
And it is amazing. And anymore, I don't see the poor CAD guy is probably not, he's the unicorn in the industry. It'll be the engineers doing it. Now you have some guys that have been doing it for a long time that have got the experience, but are not engineers. Well, those are designers, and there's always a spot for them. But but just a pure blood, all I do is create drawings and do the note changes. No, I don't see that. So it's been amazing. Now, what thing disturbs me, though, is with this new technology, a lot of these younger people will go, well, it says we need this size pipe. And you go, there's no way. Did you look at this? Huh? What? And so they say, well, the computer said that's what needs to happen. It's you need to have a little experience to know you can't run that much water through a 24-inch pipe.
Yeah, no common sense.
Overtopping the street. Well, the computer said it was okay.
Right.
It's not.
It's really funny because I'm actually speaking about the computer says we're in a barn, and I'm considering creating a truss system for lighting, and I'm not an idiot. I understand what 1.5-inch pipe is, and all that kind of stuff. So I was going back and forth with Gemini, trying to figure out a cost-effective solution for a 10x10 square grid. And I said, can I use EMT? And it came back and I said, I don't know. You can get away with it if you use 2-inch EMT. You can probably get away with it, but 10 feet is a long ways. I mean, if you use 1/2-inch EMT, that'd be a no because it just bend. But anyways, sorry, I digress. So yeah, technology, huge difference. So now to what aspect are you using technology now?
Well, I pretty much do all my own designs. I get it to a point, and then I do send it to some of my younger associates that let them either incorporate comments back from the city or clean up some of my overlapping notes, things like that. Or if the architect changes something and we have to, we moved the door. Does that matter? Well, a little bit. But so I do my own CAD work. Of course, I also then will take some of my baby engineers' work and then get it, and then I quote unquote fix it the way I like it. But yeah, I'm doing all that. And it was amazing. I remember when I got a second monitor, that was pretty cool. Now I've got 4. So it's it is fun, to see it. And as long as I enjoy it, I'll still keep doing it. I mean, the way I look at a project, is I'm doing this as if I was doing this for the Lord. Okay, that's why I like really doing churches. And I usually give them a pretty good discount, but not everything because, the workman's worthy of his hire.
Sure.
But, I like doing that. But even on a private project, let's say I was doing something for you, I would look at it as, okay, I'm going to pretend this is my project, my money, what's best for this project.
Right.
And, I'm not going to go in there because I've run across, in the past where some engineers will, what we call tweak with the time of concentration for storm drain design and make the storm last longer than it really does so that the pipe size is a lot smaller than it really needs to be.
Wow.
I'm not going to do that. I sleep well at night in heavy rains because my projects are,
that's good.
I don't cut corners.
That's really good.
Not worth it.
That's really good. Wow. So you said you're going to continue doing this as long as you just can't do it, or, and I'm guessing you have a good core network of people who still continue to.
Repeat client is the best client.
Yeah, that's really good. Huh.
Yeah, I told my accountant one time, he said, when was I going to retire? And I said, probably a couple days after I'm dead. And he looked funny, and I said, well, that way Sharon can do some invoicing.
So I got a wacky question. So I see guys in like construction, they do surveying.
Uh-huh.
Can you describe that process? I see guys with, they have a telescope and they've got some equipment, and then there's another guy on a hill far away. How does that work? What is that?
Well, it's funny because in the old days, we had a transit or a theodolite that we would turn an angle to a point and a vertical angle, and then we'd have a distance meter tell us how far away it was to the guy holding it. And he's usually holding like a prism, a reflective mirror.
Cool.
And that was the old days. Well, now they're doing it with GPS and robotic. So the instrument can, it tracks wherever you go. So you only have one person out there. I'm not a big fan of that, only because if you fall and hurt yourself or get bit by a snake or something, you're kind of on your own. But, I did have a friend, somebody pulled up while he was off, 200 feet away and grabbed his equipment and ran off with it.
Wow.
It was like a $50,000 piece of equipment.
Oh my gosh.
So, but yeah, so what they're doing is with that mirror, you get on the point. This is a point I need to know. It's a tree, it's a property corner, it's whatever. They'll turn an angle to it, and then it creates a point in the system, in the computer, and then you can take that home or to the office and download it. And then they've got software that will convert that into, it's usually a point file that has point number, point description, and elevation. And so it's got its coordinates. I mean, you've got it down to however many decimals you want to take it.
How accurate is it, within centimeters or?
Oh yeah, hundreds of a foot.
That's amazing.
Easily. Yeah. In fact, you'll get more discrepancy from the guy not holding the stick completely vertical.
Wow.
So, I mean, now in West Texas, plus or minus a foot, that was good enough. You're buying land by the acre, not by the square inch.
Right. Okay. So since this is about structural integrity, I served in the Navy, and
thank you.
You bet. Structural integrity in the Navy is where you close a hatch, you close a door, you're isolating that compartment from the rest of the vessel. In case something happens, it'll still have as much buoyancy as possible, or it'll alleviate any further incidents. And so how does that apply? I mean, we were just talking about being a hundredth of a centimeter off. How does that apply your integrity, structural integrity, when you're just doing something simple as a parking lot?
I've never thought of it in that respect. I usually look at, from experience, I know that you don't want more than about 4% slope on a parking space. Sometimes we have to go more than that. But if you go higher than 4, when somebody opens the door to get out of their car and then they let go of it, it might close back on their leg.
Wow.
Or if they're pointing downhill, they open their car and let go of it, it might swing open and hit the car next to them. So that's the kind of stuff where, again, you won't find that written in a book. So,
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody knows that.
Yeah. And then I did, like I said, I did a lot of work for car dealerships. And they wanted all their curbs to only be 4 inches high, where the average curb is 6. And I was like, oh, okay. And I said, why? And they go, well, when they test drive one of our big cars, they pull in, big as an expensive car, they pull into the curb, it rips that cowling off. And that's, several $1,000 fix.
Oh my gosh.
So he said, no, we don't want any curbs higher than 4. And I go, well, yeah, but when they drive it off the parking lot, he goes, then I don't care. I'll fix it for a smile.
Cool.
But yeah, there's things you learn over experience that, we don't take classes in school that says, okay, this is how we, design a roadside ditch along a road. We know how to do the calculations on it, but nobody says, don't make sure the dirt's sloped at 1% or more. It's going to pond, or it'll, won't flow properly.
Yeah, I'm actually. So, I was literally thinking of that as you were driving up my driveway, because you can see I've had.
Yeah,
it needs a little assistance.
That'll work.
Got some ruts in there,
yeah.
But
little skid steer could take care of a lot of that.
Yeah. So what? In your years, have you made any mistakes or anything that you had to really kind of go back and fix, and it was anything that's memorable, anything that's remarkable that you're like, this was a good learning experience?
Yeah, most of it had to do with like accounting type boo-boos. Like, nuts, because it's just me and my wife in the office. And so, in fact, I had to write a pretty good check just the other day to a client that I'd invoiced him. And then I forgot to move the previously billed part the current bill to the previously billed. And so when I sent him the bill for the next month, so that was not fun. I've had employees make mistakes on projects that, we have insurance and got sued by a city. We did a project where we won a national award and we won a state award on a park. But it got political, and next thing we know, they brought us into a lawsuit for a breach of contract.
Oh my.
And I was like, what? And so the insurance company settled that. So that was about $500,000 deal.
Oh my. But like you never, when you're trying to calculate X dollar per foot or anything like that,
Yeah, I mean, we try our best to do that, but usually when we're doing cost projections, we say, hey, look, we're going to be average or better. There'll be somebody higher and there'll be somebody lower. We also, I do a pretty decent job of double checking everybody's work. And just today I found something where oops.
That's good.
Can't have that building go across the setback line. Naughty.
Well, so working with your team, what have you learned as a leader over the years with respect to how to, lead better and give people better rope to hang themselves with, so to speak?
The way I approach it is I look at them as an asset instead of a liability. I've worked for guys when I first got out who looked at an employee as I'll use him till I wear him out, replace him with somebody newer and shinier and cheaper. And they just didn't treat employees like humans. I've always done that. I've always told my guys, family first, take care of your sweetie at the house, because if she's not happy, you're not going to be happy up here. And if you're not happy at the office, you're not as productive. I had a guy that one time said he never went to any of his kids' track meets.
Wow.
I said, you got to be kidding me. I've gone to all my kids' competitions. Well, if he wanted me there, he'd ask. I said, no, kids don't ask, but you should show up. I mean, I remember in high school, I was on the varsity baseball team and for 3 years, and Dad came to one baseball game. And I remember thinking, I know he loves me and I know he's busy, but I'm going to have to do better. And I did.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So, I mean, you treat people with respect. You treat them like the way you'd want to be treated.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. All right. Well, that about wraps it up. This was really cool. I enjoyed talking with you about all things structural, I guess.
So integrity.
Yeah, it was good. Good. Thanks a lot, Tom.
Thank you.